morning. This is another episode, I think episode 5 of Saturday Morning Dad Jokes. My name is Tom.
Episode 5. 1.5. If you're recording these and labeling them in Plex, the way that you do that is you write S01 E01.
Good job. And who are you?
My name is Mike.
Okay. Gotcha. Just glad we got all those technicalities out of the way. So I'm going to start with an icebreaker, a little bit of a different format, because I think the viewers would like to know a little bit more about us, taking a deeper dive. There's nothing that actually indicates that. That's just a complete guess, and maybe my own ego getting in the way. So
I hate icebreakers, by the way.
That's why I'm doing it also, just kind of pushing you out of your comfort zone. You can send me the bill later. So we're going to do 2 truths and a lie. And I can go first if you want, since I'm kind of springing this on you.
Sure, yeah.
So let's see. My 2 truths and a lie, and you have to pick out which one is which. And I'll read all 3 of them, and then you can analyze from there. So
that's the thing that's messed up about an icebreaker, because you have had the time in advance. I will now read you mine.
Right.
So whenever anybody does this icebreaker, like
they've got the upper hand.
You got the answer, and everybody else is just like floundering around.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
2 truths and a lie. Okay, go ahead.
So I have over 235,000 unread emails. That's the first one.
But let me write that number down. What was that number?
235,000 unread emails.
35,000.
Yes. As in 6 figures. 235,000 unread emails.
Exactly.
Well, over. So, yeah.
Over.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to say that's too specific. Otherwise, really annoying if you're like, nope, it's only 225.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you could round up or down by 1,000. Like, that's fine. Like, I'm not that specific. Okay. Second one. I once camped out for Cal Ripken's autograph at his pickup truck, and ultimately, when he appeared and walked up to his pickup truck, I was denied an autograph. So that's number 2. And number 3, I once shot a rat at over 500 yards away with my BB gun as a child.
I'm going to say 3.
3 is what?
It's the lie.
That is correct. That's the lie.
That is the lie.
That is the lie. The other
it wasn't specific enough.
500 yards is pretty.
That's a good shot.
Yeah, exactly. No, fortunately, my BB gun did not have quite that range, because that's pretty substantial.
And you had a good BB gun.
I did. I cracked a few windows in the neighborhood, sadly, that weren't affiliated with our house.
My BB gun looked like an M16. I'm pretty.
Oh, I remember that. Yes, you would.
I am pretty sure that what was
thinking
happening in the 80s? It's like, hey, here's a good idea. Let's make a BB gun.
And I think you bought it
like an automatic assault rifle.
It did at the time, and also like no orange tip on it, nothing to indicate
no
otherwise.
Orange tip, dead black. It was jet black. It looked like
it was a complete replica. Yeah, and you bought it at Service Merchandise, I think.
I did. I bought it at Service Merchandise, where they had the conveyor belt. Like, you go and you get a tag,
yeah,
and then you go back to the conveyor belt. The stuff would roll out. Man, that was it could shoot pellets,
or BBs,
and it could shoot BBs. And the pellet thing, you slid them in, and you had to move it down the line. But
bolt action.
That BB gun. Gosh, what was going on?
Yeah. Whereas mine was pump action, so it could get pretty strong. Yeah.
And I think mine was only 1 pump.
1 pump allowed.
That was different. So you could do multiple pumps, and the way that mine worked, it only had I think it only had 1 pump, but you could really pump yours up. Pump up that BB gun. Okay, 2 truths and a lie.
Well, good job. You figured me out. You called me out. Like I said, I'm kind of predictable in the past, so you can.
Okay.
What are yours?
Okay. Mine are. I have an air purifier unopened in my garage. I have an unopened air purifier in my garage. As a child, I had a toy of Mothra. Mothra was one of Godzilla's friends, foes, depends on which Godzilla you're watching.
Okay.
I have behind me, that way, an autographed photo. That way.
That way. Which one is a lie?
Not that way.
Right.
That way.
Yeah, I got it.
Air purifier, unopened, Mothra toy, autographed photo.
I'm going to say the Mothra toy.
That is correct. I had a Godzilla toy. I did not have a Mothra toy.
Yep. Man, look at us.
Pretty good.
We can call each other out on our shenanigans. Can even weed through the... Yeah. That's good. There's a little nuance there. Just like your Mothra toy was a little specific. Yeah. But
it was. Maybe that was my... Maybe that was my...
Yes.
God.
Okay, well, I'm glad we did that icebreaker because I think everybody knows a lot more about us now.
I know.
Especially you with your unopened air filter that's in the garage. Because
in the garage waiting.
Inquiring minds were wanting to know.
Hellacious fires on the West Coast, basically.
That's
you
true.
couldn't buy an air purifier when we were sleeping in the basement under 2 weeks worth of the purple cloud.
Now, is that
with that AQI? What is it? The AQI app?
air quality index?
What the heck that thing was. God,
So-
I've never looked at that.
So was this the air purifier that I sent you, or is this something that you bought?
No, I bought one.
You bought an extra one. Gotcha.
I bought one after. You couldn't buy them when the fires were
Right.
happening.
Right.
But after that, I went online and I bought myself a pretty decently rated air purifier, and I will probably pick up a second before we get out of the summer.
And I, being the good friend that I was trying to be, because
Yeah.
I could not find any to send you, even from out here where I am, proceeded to send you 3 furnace filters that could fit on the outside of a box fan.
Yep.
Which
filtered air.
which still took a while to get there, but it was kind of the
I think
it was the MacGyver.
arrived after.
Yeah, it was the MacGyver version though of a air purifier, but it still, from everything I've read, it still works quite well if you get in a jam and you need to.
Yeah, you just need something.
Yeah, tape it onto a box fan and run
And
it.
it was that bad.
Yeah.
It was that
Yeah, I
bad.
remember. Well, okay. So I believe it's my turn to start in terms of dad joke.
Yes.
A brief note: I'm actually not taking from the Hugh Murmy book today, as much as it sounds like we are trying to promote his book. We are not.
That's right. Are we some sort of influencers of Mermy? Is this an embedded ad?
I know that we mentioned in our last episode that he could, whether or not if he's even a real person, or if he's, if he's writing under his real name. And it turns out, after doing some research, because after the last episode I did spend a little bit of time, and found out that he does not exist, and that I have a suspicion I know who he is. Need to do a little bit more digging to identify, but I think maybe next episode, in my search, in my quest to find out who the real Hugh Murmy is, I will be able to reveal my first guess and maybe even a picture of the gentleman.
God, this is like, ooh.
Well, you'll see why. It's like, there's definitely a reason why I have to link picture, because there's a cartoon that is affiliated with Hugh Murmy, like a caricature of him, that may actually match up nicely with the real Hugh Murmy that goes by the real name.
Okay. Cool.
Not the pen name. So my joke, and
An original.
it's an original. I think this is the first time I've ever come up with a dad joke, at least for the show. And it did take a little bit of time. Felt pressured because, Mike, you've done a good job of scripting out yours. So I'm trying to step up to the plate. So my dad joke is, um, where do you find all the players named Doug?
In the dugout.
In the dugout. Ah,
That's
yep.
good. That's good.
I thought you liked that, which is also a throwback to our childhood because we owned a business above our garage called the Dugout,
Called the dugout.
which was a sports cards business. When
Yep.
my brother and I were named, it was named after my brother to an extent, um,
Yeah.
and we dealt with sports cards when we were
Yep.
teenagers and ran.
And got people like me into baseball cards. I had like no interest in baseball.
Yeah, it was a good childhood
My gosh.
side hustle. It definitely taught us a lot about
It
business.
was it was a side hustle. It was really, yes.
Yes, for sure. It
Helping
taught
out Upper Deck there.
it taught us a lot of things. Well, we
Kill the
also had
baseball card
we had
market.
Marvel cards. We had all kinds of other cards too, though. Like,
Yeah,
there was a lot
Marvel
of things.
cards.
Yeah.
That was the beginning of the card craze. I feel like the
Oh,
baseball
wait.
cards in the late '80s, early '90s, like comic books. I mean,
Yep. Right as things started to get saturated. Yep.
yeah, no, and I don't. I never mind. But I teach film, and my students always like Marvel movies, and I read those when I was a kid, and they stunk. Like the Infinity Gauntlet series stunk. It was just a scam to
Right.
get small children to cough up like. I thought they would be worth. I thought I could retire on my Infinity, and it was such a stupid storyline. It was dumb. It was really dumb.
Yeah.
And nobody even remembers. Then I'm like, and do you remember Secret Wars? And they were like, what Secret Wars? Like Secret Wars 2 was the beginning of the end of comics. Like, yeah,
And you were actually more into comics than I was initially.
yeah.
And then here's the irony of all of it. Speaking of the dugout, and then fast forward 30 some years later, and who is the person that has a thriving comic book sales business that is not either one of us? Doug.
Your brother, the Doug.
Yes, he's got quite a operation going where
Wow.
I think if he didn't have his primary profession, he could easily switch careers and do this for a living and make
And sell comics
and make
Well, and it's
and make actually a living at it because he's just doing it on the
That's it.
side. Yeah, yeah.
and your family always collected
Something,
antiques and stuff,
something.
yeah.
Yes,
So
yes.
well, that's cool. Good for Doug.
Yeah.
Still running the dugout.
It's still running the dugout, just with a different
Now
spin
it's
to it.
called Doug's Comic Hut.
Doug's Comic Hut. So, yes, that would be my dad joke. Was it a dad joke or a bad joke?
Oh, it's a dad joke.
Okay.
Definitely a dad joke. Not a bad joke. I'm pretty sure it's safe. You could tell that at a baseball game.
Oh yeah.
Um,
In front of a bunch of Dougs, like a
in
convention
front
of
of a
Dougs.
bunch of Dougs.
Yeah.
Yep. You could. Yeah. It's politicians could tell it. Joe Biden
It's true.
could absolutely tell it. Throwing the first pitch of the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, all the Dougs over there in the dugout. Pitch.
Yeah, so I knew it was going to be an okay joke because I told my wife this morning, and she rolled her eyes, and that was the reaction I was looking for. Because the others that I tried out on her, she actually said that. What are you saying? Like, is that?
It's interesting that you say that because you have to write a little bit or you
Yeah.
have to think. I mean, it's still difficult.
Sure.
And my wife she'll be like, no,
Right.
no, that doesn't even make sense because spiders don't bite like that. Or whatever. She'll call me.
Right.
And I'm like,
Right.
okay, back
Yeah.
to.
It's like
But
such a
then, like,
huge technicality. Yeah.
if it's good, and what I'm hoping for is actually a laugh.
Right.
But generally, what I get is this.
Yeah, that was mine.
To
To me that's good enough for a laugh. Like
And
that
then
translates.
Maybe you don't want to laugh with the dad joke. Maybe
Right.
what you want is a
Yeah. Yeah.
very good,
Like a sigh, like ugh, an ugh. Yeah, right. Golf clap.
not even a slow clap.
Yeah.
You want an eye roll.
Yeah,
And why are you bothering me?
yeah. Because I mean, as I told you right before we started, I said I tried some other jokes out, and they came to me in the middle of the night, and one at 1 a.m. and one at 3 a.m. And I woke my wife up to tell her, and they did not go over well. Both because I think I woke her up, but also because the content was awful.
So this will be a short digression. I don't know how we are for time.
We're okay.
But since we were talking about baseball, I feel moved to actually tell this. So my wife and I have been watching the Ken Burns baseball documentary, and it's incredible. I'm not a baseball fan, but the history behind it is just it's fascinating, like absolutely. Anyway, Spalding, the guy was a jerk.
Yeah.
I was a jerk, but you know he had a lot of balls. My wife wrote that one. Credit to her.
Really?
Yeah, she wrote that.
Wow.
She wrote that. So I thought just.
I thought maybe I thought you were just jumping right into it with yours.
No. So that's not mine. That's not mine. But
Okay.
I felt just because what we were talking about.
I liked it, and I'm glad you gave attribution. So
probably Joe Biden shouldn't tell that joke.
that's true. I would agree.
That's where you get. That's an edgy one.
It's a little more edgy. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe not even to your kid. I don't get it.
Yeah, you don't want him going to school saying that one. So, yeah. But it's still good. It's a good dad joke.
My father probably wouldn't have had the foresight to not tell me that joke, and that I would have gone to school.
Oh,
and be like,
sure. Yeah.
But he's talking about baseballs.
Yep. Right, and strikes.
And strikes. Spalding was like Rockefeller. He really was a jerk.
There was back in the day. There was a lot of people in baseball that were a little on the rough side of things.
Yeah. Okay, great. How are we? Time.
We're good. You still have time for your joke.
My joke? Okay. So since I told the edgy joke that my wife wrote, I was in the kitchen the other night having a snack. It's late at night. I was having some cold chicken. I've been cooking chicken recently out of American Test Kitchen book. And the best chicken, I will say, is the weeknight chicken in that book. Like, time-wise, it's the best one. So I'm eating some cold chicken in the kitchen. And I see something out of the corner of my eye. And I think, is that one of the dogs? My dogs are now sleeping down in the basement, and maybe thought one of them had wandered up. But it's late. They generally sleep about, like, 9 o'clock they're out. This is like 10:30. I'm thinking, is that one of them? Not a dog. Go back to eating my chicken, and I see it again. I think, is that Chrissy? And I get up and I walk down the hall. And she's in the bedroom watching Schitt's Creek or something. I don't know. Okay, go back. Eating the chicken. And I see it again. And it's the microwave. It's the microwave. Like, hey, buddy, you're going to have to do something bigger than this if you want to get my attention. Microwaves.
Okay. Another original. Wow. Definitely a dad joke. I'm glad you made the little gesture. I might have actually just missed it.
Hello! Use my popcorn button! Use the potato button. Nobody ever uses the potato button.
Okay.
Does your microwave have a potato button? I don't think my microwave does either.
I don't think it has a potato button. It has a popcorn button, but not a potato
It has a popcorn button.
Yeah.
And it never works. The popcorn button never works.
No, ours does.
Mine doesn't work right. It like either burns it or I still have to guess the time.
It might be. It might be because you're on Pacific Northwest time, and like it just doesn't quite adjust. Like it's not an East Coast microwave, or it could be an East Coast microwave in the Pacific Northwest. One of the two.
Right.
I don't know.
Be.
Yeah. Anyway.
Dad or bad?
It's. Oof,
You said dad.
No, it's dad. Yeah, it's dad.
Okay. All right.
And I think it's safe to tell anywhere.
Okay.
I don't know how that could offend anybody.
The microwave
I mean,
waving.
I think the challenge would be is the person telling it. Like if you have somebody that has limited ability to wave, I think that could be
Oh,
challenging because like if they can't make that little gesture, you might lose some
yeah,
of your audience.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
You do need the microwave in there to sell it.
yeah, yeah, you got to be able to have that little tiny like almost like the queen wave. Yeah. So, but I liked it. Like it's definitely original. Um, definitely got an eye roll.
Uh,
Um,
cool,
so
cool.
on this, for those of you that don't know, every Thursday, Mike does a little script for us on a post-it note, and I think the next thing on the script says um, kitchen jokes and topical jokes.
Yeah, I had a topical joke or a kitchen joke. So I told my kitchen joke. I'll probably save my topical joke for another episode.
Yeah, we're running right around, depending on how much we edit, about 20 minutes at this point. So
About 20 minutes. So
yeah, yeah. So let's end on kind of the closing question that
hmm.
everybody's wanting to know in terms of our opinion. What is the best internet search engine and why?
Yes,
You want to go first?
I'm curious. I mean, I have some strong feelings on this
Okay, uh, go ahead.
because I have been laughed out
Oh,
of rooms for saying duck duck go.
duck, duck, go.
But that's the one that I use. I do use it. It has gotten better. It was not good two
I
years ago.
I would say, yeah, duck, duck goes okay, but I think you have to also look at to why you're using it. Uh,
Right. So when I use it, when I say that I'm using DuckDuckGo, it is because they are, well, at least I don't know. I mean, I assume that that's their whole platform and branding, that they're protecting your data and you're not, you know, ads.
hmm
Um,
It's not going into the artificial intelligence cloud collecting
right.
additional profile data about you.
But I really do. I think like I wanted to use it 2 years ago and it wasn't good. And now I feel that even like, like on image searches, it does decent. Like it stands up to Google pretty decently. Like if
Really?
you're depending on what you're, that used to be I felt that go to there. And then two, really like most of the time, where are you going? I'm going to Wikipedia. Like if I'm going for actual information,
hmm
if you're using the web for actual information, then you generally speaking know where you're going to go anyway. Um,
True. True.
but anyway, but I'm curious what you think. Best
Well,
internet
I
search.
mean, as much as you know, the internet overlords, Google, I have challenges with their privacy. You know, their privacy practices. I would say Google in general is still the best.
Oh,
Um, but I mean, but you're also selling yourself a little bit when you search for something because you're just adding to their behemoth of a you know data
that's
point
right. What we should
on you.
do is we should go to Google and just type in dad jokes, dad jokes, dad jokes until we start bumping ourselves up in the search.
Yeah, back in the day, you
Does
could
it work
do
like
that.
that?
You could kind of game the system back in the
Yeah.
day. And when I say back in the day, like in the '90s, I think those days are behind us. But I do remember
Was
quite
there a phrase
easily.
for that? Search mining.
What's that?
Was there a phrase for that? Search mining or
Yeah, I
something?
mean it was the very early days of yeah, kind of engineering your keywords and stuff. But yeah,
What would you say besides Google? Because I do think that there are like Google Books. I don't like the idea of it at all, but it is useful sometimes. But what would you say besides Google? What would be your second pick?
hmm, I don't know. I really don't use any other ones. I guess it also depends on the application. I mean, one of my favorites over the years, well, which I don't really have access to, is the National Crime Information Center database, where all the criminal stuff gets put into. But back in the day when I worked at a police
I don't even
dispatch
want to ask what you were searching for.
when I worked for the police dispatch center, you know,
Okay.
you could put in, you know, serial numbers off of guns or just you know serial numbers off of stolen merchandise or information about a person, and it would come
Yeah.
up, and it was pretty updated and pretty accurate. So I think
Okay.
that's incredibly. I think it's managed by the FBI,
Okay.
but it's well run, and I'm sure you need to have certain levels of access to get to it now. I mean, back 20, 30 some years ago when I originally was doing that, a lot has changed in terms of who has access to that stuff.
Right.
Even from law enforcement standpoints, I'm sure. But that was an impressive, not so much internet database, but just database,
Okay.
and
All right.
a useful database at that.
Cool.
But yeah, Google, I guess, is my just generic answer there, and yours is DuckDuckGo.
Yep. DuckDuckGo.
Okay.
If you're concerned about your data, DuckDuckGo.
Public service announcement from
Yep.
Mike.
Me.
All right. Well,
That's it.
we
That's
don't.
all we got.
That's all we have. We're gonna wrap it up
Internet
here.
search engines.
We
some
don't.
Jokes.
We don't have a closing catchphrase. We're gonna work on
We
that.
don't.
And that's a work in
I
progress.
can't even, yeah. What would be a closing catchphrase?
Put it in the comments. We need help.
Put it in the comments. There you go. That's good. Put it in the comments.
See you next time.